We'll continue. That's about interpreting 12 lead ECG, and so far we have finished step 1, that's the rate determination, step 2, rhythm analysis, step 3, axis identification. Now we are at step 4, which is about the hypertrophy. In this module, or in this step, we are going to learn the ECG findings related to atrial hypertrophy, ventricular hypertrophy with strain pattern, and strain pattern versus ischemia. So what's hypertrophy? Hypertrophy means something big. So in ECG language, the hypertrophy means increase in size of ECG deflections due to the increase in muscle thickness of the wall of heart chamber. So we'll see the atrial hypertrophy. So important thing is that any electrical event which happens in the atria produces a P wave on ECG. If you want to see atrial hypertrophy, you have to focus on the P waves. The P waves, they represents any events in the atria, best seen in the lead 2, and they are less than 2.5 small boxes in duration and voltage, and lead and this P wave is biphasic in lead V1. That's a normal finding. So as we have two atria, right and left, the right atrial hypertrophy or right atrial enlargement known as P pulmonale. So in an ECG you will get a P wave that's more than 2.5 mm tall. So more than 2.5 small boxes tall. So like this one, the P wave become tall more than 2.5 mm. Just to confirm, you may look at the lead V1, and as I said, the lead P wave in lead V1 is biphasic. It has the initial and the distal component. The initial component, if it becomes tall, more than 1 mm wide and more than 1 mm tall, like this green color, it's again in favor of right atrial enlargement. So you can see the right atrial hypertrophy in lead 2, where you will get a P wave more than 2.5 mm tall. That's enough. But if you further want to strengthen your findings, you have to look at the lead V1, which is biphasic, where the initial and distal components are same in the normal ECGs. But if the initial component is tall and wide more than 1 mm, so it's in favor of right atrial hypertrophy. Look at this ECG, and can you point out the changes related to atrial hypertrophy only? So where you are going to look at the lead 2, and you see the P waves are tall. So this means this is right atrial hypertrophy, and you can further confirm in lead V1 where the initial component is taller than the distal component. Look at this ECG again. Is there any findings related to right atrial hypertrophy? So the answer is yes. Look at the lead 2. There are tall P waves. So this is your right atrial hypertrophy. Now left atrial hypertrophy, which is also called the P mitral, and again you will look at the lead 2. If the P wave in lead 2 is wider than 2.5 mm and notched M-shaped like this one, so this is your P mitral or left atrial hypertrophy. You can further strengthen your diagnosis by looking at the V1. If the distal component terminal component of V1 is wide, more than 1 mm, and deep, it's again in favor of left atrial hypertrophy. Distal component should be deep and wide more than 1 mm in V1. So again, look at this ECG. In lead 2, if you get a broad notched M-shaped P wave, this is more in favor of left atrial hypertrophy. If the distal component is deep in V1, okay, again, this is more in favor of left atrial hypertrophy. Look at this ECG and try to find, is there any left atrial hypertrophy by looking at the lead 2. No, P pulmonale and P mitral. So these terminology, what are these terminology? In P pulmonale, you will get the tall peaked P wave in lead 2, and this is due to the right atrial hypertrophy secondary to the pulmonary hypertension and other respiratory causes like COPD. On the other P mitral, you will get the broad notched M-shaped P wave, and this is due to the left atrial hypertrophy secondary to the mitral valve disease. So the atrial hypertrophy in one slide, if you look, you have to look at the lead 2 first. So this is the normal shape P wave, where this left side is the left atria and right side is the right atria. In case of right atrial hypertrophy, the P wave become very tall, more than 2.5 mm. In case of left atrial hypertrophy, it becomes wide and notched. You can further strengthen your diagnosis by looking at the V1. Normally V1 is biphasic. So half is above the isoelectric line, that's positive, and half of the P wave is below the isoelectric line, which is negative. But if the initial component of the V1 becomes tall and wide, more than 1 mm, this is right atrial hypertrophy. But if the distal component becomes deep and wide, more than 1 mm, it's left atrial hypertrophy. Sometimes the both atria are hypertrophied, and we call it biatrial hypertrophy, where features of both right atrial enlargement and left atrial enlargement in the same ECG. What it means, the P wave in the lead 2 may be more than 2.5 mm tall and more than 2.5 mm wide. And in V1 also, there will be quite big deflection in both initial component and the distal component. But important, look at the lead 2. Look at this ECG. Is there an evidence of biatrial enlargement? So if you look at the lead 2, there is right atrial enlargement, quite tall. And if you look at the V1, the distal component is deep. So here right atrial enlargement, here left atrial enlargement. So this is your biatrial hypertrophy. So after the atrial hypertrophy, now we'll discuss the ventricular hypertrophy. And for the ventricular hypertrophy, you have to focus on the QRS complexes, because QRS complexes presents the events happening in the ventricles, and you have to look at the QRS voltage. So if the cardiac muscles becomes thick, there will be an increase in the electrical forces moving through the myocardium. This results in enlarged or tall QRS complexes. So if the Kurz complex volt amplitude becomes very high, as high as 25 mm, so we say that the ventricles becomes hypertrophied. But the important point is that the QRS duration still remains the narrow. Okay, the QRS complexes don't become wide in case of ventricular hypertrophy. If they are wide, then you can't comment on the ventricular hypertrophy. So look at these two ECG for your comparison. On this side of the screen, the darker one is the normal. If you look at the chest leads, these are looks like normal Kurz complexes. But if you look at the on the right side of the screen, so Kurz complexes are very high, initially very deep and then very high. So definitely some hypertrophy is there, because tall Kurz complexes means the hypertrophy. And you know, the ECG is calibrated that the Kurz complexes, they don't cross more than 2 big boxes, okay, approximately. But here if you see, the Kurz complexes have crossed so many big boxes, so there is hypertrophy. Now we have two ventricles, left ventricle as well as the right ventricle. So there is a different criteria to look for the hypertrophy in each ventricle. In case of left ventricular hypertrophy, there are many criteria. One of the criteria is voltage criteria, where you will look at the lead V1 or V2, wherever there is a deep S wave, plus V5 or V6, wherever you get the highest positive R wave. So you will look at the lead V1 and V5. Then you will look at the voltage S in V1 or V2, whatever is the deepest, plus R in V5 or V6, whatever will be with highest. So if you combine these two leads, the Kurz complexes, if it's more than 35 mm, it means more than 7 big boxes or 35 small boxes, this will be left ventricular hypertrophy. In this example, just try to calculate, see which S wave is deep. It's almost the same, it's 13 mm, and you see which R wave is tall. V6, V5 is the tallest out of these two, V5 and V6. So if you combine, S wave in V1 is 13 mm and R wave in lead 5 is 25 mm. So it's more than 35 mm. So this is left ventricular hypertrophy. This is a male 63-year with long-standing hypertension. Identify any hypertrophy findings on this ECG. Especially the left ventricular hypertrophy. So look at the lead V1 and V2. See which one is the deepest. Obviously it's lead V2. See how many big boxes, 1, 2, 3, 3.2. And see which R wave in V5 and V6, which one is the tallest. V5 is the tallest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 3.25. So it becomes more than 8 big boxes. So this is left ventricular hypertrophy. And there is also associated left axis deviation. So left ventricular hypertrophy, the ECG findings includes more than 35 or more mm QRS amplitude if we combine V1 or V2 plus V5 or V6. Normal QRS duration, this is extremely important. There may be left axis deviation, there may be left atrial hypertrophy, and if it's a long-standing hypertension, you may get the ST segment and T changes that are oriented opposite to the QRS complexes. This is called the left ventricle strain pattern. We'll discuss in coming slides. So again, the point which I was emphasizing, criteria of left ventricular hypertrophy is unreliable in presence of bundle branch block or wide Codus complexes. Now, after the left ventricular hypertrophy, let's talk about the right ventricular hypertrophy. For the right ventricular hypertrophy, you are going to look at the leads which are over the right ventricles, like lead V1, V2. Okay, so look at the chest leads again. These are the chest leads V1 till V6. This is the normal transition V1, V2. R wave is small, getting bigger, V3, V4, V5, and V6. But if you look at the other side, the R wave in V1 is tall and narrow. So this is hypertrophy in V2 also. So this is stacking difference between the two ECGs. R wave is positive in V1 and V2. It's quite tall. So again, voltage criteria for right ventricular hypertrophy. If in lead V1 R wave is tall more than 7 mm and it's narrow, it's your right ventricular hypertrophy. And there may be associated deep S wave in V6. There are many other causes of tall R wave in lead V1 that includes the right bundle branch block, right ventricular hypertrophy, which we are talking about, posterior wall myocardial infarction, and WBW syndrome. We'll discuss later. But this is the differential diagnosis of the tall R wave in lead V1. Look at this ECG and point out the findings associated with right ventricular hypertrophy. Look at the V1 and V2, right? So the R wave is tall more than 7 mm and there's a deep S wave in V6. So this is right ventricular hypertrophy. So there is additional right atrial enlargement as well and right axis deviation too. But just focus the ventricular hypertrophy. So general features ECG findings of right ventricular hypertrophy includes the tall R wave in right ventricular leads, that's lead V1 and V2. It's more than 7 mm, and deep S wave in V5 or V6. Right axis deviation may be seen. Right atrial hypertrophy can be a feature of associated with the right ventricular hypertrophy, but the Curious complexes are normal. And sometimes STT changes opposite to the Curious direction can be seen, which are called the right ventricular strain pattern. Sometimes both ventricles are hypertrophied. That's called biventricular hypertrophy, and it's very difficult ECG diagnosis to make. So it's very hard to get the criteria for both left ventricle and right ventricular hypertrophy on one ECG. So other evidence that you may get that you may have left ventricular hypertrophy criteria plus associated right atrial deviation, right axis deviation, or right atrial hypertrophy. Look at this ECG. Okay, first look, is there any left ventricular hypertrophy? Yes, and there is tall P wave. So right atrial enlargement and even the right axis deviation also in presence of left ventricular hypertrophy. So this is your biventricular hypertrophy. Now we'll see the ECG findings associated with ventricular hypertrophy and strain pattern. When the left ventricles are hypertrophied, we will get the tall R wave. But over the passage of time, long-standing hypertrophy put a strain and we'll get a strain pattern that are seen the T wave ST changes opposite to the QRS complexes like this one. But this strain pattern shows the gradual downsloping of the ST T wave and then sharp rise. Look at this ECG and try to identify the changes associated with ventricular hypertrophy. Here obviously deep S wave in V2 and tall R wave in V5. If you combine, these are more than 35 mm, so this is left ventricular hypertrophy. Okay, if this patient has these ECGs in the past as well and is a old age and known case of hypertension on some treatment, if you get the ECG like this one, there is a downsloping of the T wave and then sharp rise. So this is a strain pattern. Okay, so these are the normal findings associated with the ventricular hypertrophy. On the other hand, if the same patient presents with the chest pain and you don't have conclusive evidence on the previous ECGs, or maybe this is some sort of new symptoms, so then don't discharge these patients. Try to do your enzymes, okay, repeated enzymes and repeated ECG to rule out the ischemia. Otherwise, in older patients with the long-standing history, this left ventricular hypertrophy is a strain pattern. Right ventricular hypertrophy may also shows the strain pattern. It's a long-standing right ventricular hypertrophy with the right-sided diseases. If you see the tall R wave in V1 and V2, this is right ventricular hypertrophy with the deep S wave in V6. So this is your right ventricular hypertrophy. And if you look at the ST changes opposite to the QRS complexes, so this is a strain pattern. So this is your right ventricular hypertrophy with strain pattern. Again, if the patient is symptomatic, the chest pain, the heartburn, sweating, dizziness, then try to rule out the acute coronary syndrome by doing the repeat ECGs and cardiac workout. Then finally, how to differentiate strain pattern with the ischemia. As I mentioned earlier, in strain pattern, if you see there is a gradual decline, downsloping of the T wave, and then this sharp rise. So inverted T wave with gradual downslope and sharp return to the baseline is a feature of strain pattern, hypertrophy with strain pattern, and the ST changes are opposite to the QRS complexes. But in case of ischemia, if you notice, there is a sharp decline or sharp movements of the T wave, and then there is a sharp rise, sharp fall and sharp rise. It's a feature of ischemia. So you can differentiate, but again, the history is very important. Look at this ECG. Again, this is a left ventricular hypertrophy. If you apply the voltage criteria, and you can appreciate the gradual downsloping of the T wave and then sharp rise. So this is your strain pattern. But if you look this ECG, there is a sharp fall and sharp rise of the T wave. This is more in favor of ischemia. But this is just ECG findings. You have to combine these ECG findings with the patient's history. And thank you very much.